So this person has a view box,
Okay.
and I'm guessing it is a view box displayed like a list.
Okay, yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
when they select an item in the view box, they would like to open a list box in another view.
Well, let's give that, I'm going to give it a try. We'll see how far we can get here. So I'll go a UX component. Starting to see a pattern here. And I'll go ahead and start out with some panel card stuff. Quick panels, one of my favorite features. I'll do a panel layout so we have stuff on the left and the right. And then I'm going to go here. I'm going to put on the left-hand side, I'm going to create a view box. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and go into the view box. It has to be a data-driven. And I'm going to use a static because we're just doing for fun here. And I'll insert some static data. So I have my fields here. So now I've got my data source, which is just some static JSON, first name, last name, city, state. And now what I want to do is go to my layout here, and I'm going to go ahead and add an item here. And in here, which is kind of cool, they have containers, and one of the neat ones is a list row container. And that kind of makes this act like a list system. So now I'm going to add in a data and put first name. Okay. So now that I've got that, I can click that, and I'm going to go ahead and expand this so it's there. We'll go view box to list underscore UX. Okay. And so I'm going to go to work in preview here. And so now we should have those data elements over here on the left as a list of items here. And so it acts like a list control, but it's very lightweight. It's kind of nice because this renders really quickly. It can be loaded by JSON, stuff like that. So now let's say we want to have a list over here that's filtered by that. So let's go ahead and give that a try. I'm going to go here. And I'm going to, actually in here, let's see, forget viewbox property. I'm just thinking through. Okay, I'll come back to that in a moment. So here I'm going to go ahead and put a list control. And I'll go list. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing where I'm going to make this static so it's the same data set, so it's similar. Okay. And I'll do a list layout. Okay. Now, so if we see in here, so we have a list control now, and I'll make that fully expanded. So my guess is you want to click here and then filter this list control over here. So we can go ahead and I'm going to add a panel header here. And I'm going to put a button in here. And I'll go filter. I'm going to go here to this view box again. I think data source. Try to set how you set the value for. So I'm going to, let's see, on click. Man, this is where I'm going to have to think about it for a second. What I want to do is I want to filter this list. And this is what I'm guessing the individual is asking for, is that they want to filter this list based on a selection here. So, God, I think I'm going to have to use a viewbox argument. Might need to hold off for a bit. The idea behind it is that there is actually, so the way I'd maybe do it pretty simple is let's go ahead and let's add a text box here, and I'll go filter. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to say filter, list control, filter list server side just for there, and I'll say list. Is it client side? What I'm doing is setting a basic structure to do that filtering and filter. Okay. So I've added a button here. When I fill out this filter and click that button, it would do this list. So now what I can do is, let's try this out. I'll go ahead and say John. And notice this is filtered here. So now what I want to do is when I click on this here, when I could create an item here. So let's try filter. And that on-click event is going to do two things. Is I can run that action JavaScript to do the filter. So the way I'd approach that real quick, and I'm running out of time here, is when I select an item here, I would insert the value in this filter and then call this filter. Now that's kind of a crude way to get it working. You could also, if you click here, when you click on a JavaScript action in here, you could also do something like this, which is filter list. And this allows you to, on the fly, create a filter. Let's see. Oh, that's a server side. This is client side. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this example. I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and do, how do we want to do this? We'll go function filter list. And I'll paste that here. And I'll get the control here, which is list. And then I'll filter it with, for now, John, like I did before there. So this is just a little piece of JavaScript that will take what I would do is I would capture which item was clicked on here and then pass that into a parameter here, which I could do as a follow-up on it. But let's go ahead and do this filter list here. Okay, so now I can go to my items. I can create a new item called filter. We'll call it filter the list. Oh, you know what? I can even do it right in here is I could just paste that code right in here. So actually, oh, that's what I'll do. Wait, getting close. I'm gonna grab this. I don't need to do a function there. I can go right here to my items and I can go here and then, and so this is hard coded, but now I can take the arguments. Let's try that here. Think about this. Okay. Yeah, this is where I'm breaking down, but let's go ahead and try that where I need to set the filter the list on the items. Control name label. Oh, I have to set filter there. Sorry, I'm running out of steam, guys. Basically, when the clicks on here, I would grab the last name and then call this filter list item here. And you can pass in the argument into there, and I could put that argument right here, and then this would trigger that filter with that argument there. What I'm breaking down is I need to, when I click on an item here, is grab that argument and pass it into here and get that value there. And I think it's normally if I do if I go to a Viewbox layout, oh, maybe it's here. Ah, there it is. There's the row value, last name. Okay. So that's the row value. When the user selects it, there should be the Viewbox value. Oh, I got it. Okay. Okay, there. Let me take a step back. I can make this much easier. And I'm almost done. So in here, I can select of my items. You'll see the row value is which field is it. So when I click on a row, it sets the value of this Viewbox here. So now that I've got that, gosh darn it. Stupid. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to this button right here, and the search field will actually be VB, which is the Viewbox. So now what I can do, and I'm almost there. Let's see. Oh, we're right at the angle. So when I click here on the left, I'm gonna set the last name. So when I select an item here, it's Clark. Now when I click filter here, it's not looking here, it's looking at there. And notice Clark shows up here. Dawkins, filter. So it's a two-step process. So now what I can do is I can go into this filter criteria. I can view the JavaScript, grab that JavaScript. I can go back into my view box here. And then what I can do is, I still have to set the, God, how do I do it? I want to do, basically when I click on here, I wanted to trigger that. That's where I'm going to have to leave it at that point. I just have to figure out how to trigger it from here. But basically when I trigger from there, when I run that little piece of JavaScript here, it's going to basically grab the value from the view box, which I've set to the name, then get the control for the list and then do a filter for it there. Where I'm falling down and I don't have it is that when I'm using it, if I did it with a FreeForm editor, what you can do with a FreeForm editor is that I can go right here to last name right here, and I can insert item, and it does that item right there. And let's go to that item here, and let's go ahead and go to the control, and let's go ahead and paste that here. Okay. And I don't know if this will work, but now when I go to working preview, it's still going to render as a list unless I've screwed it up. But when I click on an item, takes a moment. There we go. That's it. All right, thank you. So the idea behind this, and let me go through it. I'll spend one more minute. When I create this view box, I added and I changed it from the Genie, but you'll see that basically this sets the value of each row to be last name. So when you click on a row, it sets this view box to be there. Then the next thing I did is I created an item, and that click event reads the value of that and then runs my filter on my list. Then the last thing I did was that I went back to my layout. I converted it into a freeform, so it included this, but then I went to my row and I clicked Insert Item, selected my item here, and now what it will do is whenever I click on a row, it's going to trigger this JavaScript, which essentially, so that's how it works there. And I'll save there, and I'll do a working preview, and it takes a moment to render. But now if I click on a name, it's going to basically grab the value of that name and run the filter on the other side there. And that filter, you can change it. It doesn't have to be the filter I have here. There are other filters where you can build up more complex search criteria, so you have a lot of flexibility. Now, notice one thing that's really cool about this. It's all client side, so it's insanely fast. You'll notice as I click on here, as fast as I can click on it, my list is filtered. And if there is 100 items in here, that filter would just be instantaneous because all the data is local on the local machine. So it's pretty cool stuff, and it's actually a lot of fun.